He cried every night, but the nanny put this in his milk and he slept like an angel. Jennifer rubbed her tired eyes as she walked down the silent hallway of the mansion in Beverly Hills. 3 weeks caring for little Noah, and she still hadn't gotten a full night's sleep. The baby's desperate cries echoed through the room again. Jennifer rushed to the crib and picked him up, trying every technique she'd learned in her 20 years as a nanny. Nothing worked. The 6-month-old boy cried as if something inside him were broken. "Hush, my love, Jennifer's here," she whispered, rocking him gently. But Noah remained inconsolable. His tears seemed endless, and Jennifer's heart ached seeing so much pain in someone so small. She had tried everything: different sleeping positions, lullabies, massages, adjusting the room's temperature. Nothing soothed the cries that left her increasingly desperate. Then her eyes landed on the slightly open closet in the master bedroom. Among the employer's perfumes was a small bottle of lavender essence she recognized immediately. It was the same sweet scent she always noticed when Emma, the baby's mother, came home from work. Without a second thought, Jennifer added a few drops of the essence to the warm milk she'd prepared for Noah. The result was almost magical. The baby stopped crying instantly, his little eyes grew heavy, and within minutes, he was fast asleep in her arms. Finally, Jennifer sighed, carefully placing Noah back in his crib. For the first time in weeks, the house fell completely silent. Jennifer managed to rest, unaware her actions were being watched through the security cameras installed throughout the residence. Across town, Mrs. Catherine, Noah's paternal grandmother, watched the footage intently on her tablet. At 68, she maintained absolute control over everything in her grandson's life, especially after Emma had left for overseas, citing urgent work commitments. The next morning, Mrs. Catherine arrived at the mansion with a tense face and tight lips. Jennifer was preparing breakfast when she heard the key turn in the lock. "Good morning, Mrs. Catherine," Jennifer greeted, trying to hide her nerves. "Good morning, my foot," the woman snapped, tossing her heavy purse onto the kitchen table. "We need to talk now." Jennifer's stomach dropped. She knew that tone. Mrs. Catherine was furious. "Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers. Now back to the story. "Would you like me to prepare something for you?" Jennifer stalled. "What I want is an explanation," Mrs. Catherine said, pulling out her tablet. "About this." On the screen, Jennifer saw the footage from the night before, her adding the essence to Noah's milk, the baby stopping his cries, drifting peacefully to sleep. Her heart raced. "Mrs. Catherine, I can explain." "Explain? You medicated my grandson without permission. You put substances in his milk." The woman's voice rose. "I'm firing you on the spot and suing you for endangering a child." Jennifer's legs trembled. It wasn't medicine, but how could she explain that to a woman who already distrusted her? "It wasn't medicine, Mrs. Catherine. It was just what? Poison, alcohol? What did you give my grandson?" "It was perfume," Jennifer said softly. "Perfume?" Mrs. Catherine grew even angrier. "Are you insane? Perfume in a child's milk?" Jennifer took a deep breath and decided to tell the whole truth. It was Mrs. Emma's perfume, the lavender essence she always wore. Noah misses his mother's scent. That's why he cries so much. When he smells her scent, he calms down and can sleep. The silence that followed was heavy. Mrs. Catherine looked at Jennifer with an expression that mixed surprise and something that seemed like pain. "How do you know that?" she asked more calmly. "Because I observe, Mrs. Catherine. I've been taking care of children for 20 years. Noah doesn't cry from hunger, cold, or colic. He cries from longing. He misses the mother who left without an explanation." Jennifer's words echoed through the quiet kitchen. Mrs. Catherine sank heavily into the chair, the tablet still in her hands. Emma had to travel. She had important commitments. "Mrs. Catherine," Jennifer interrupted gently, "may I ask you something? Why did Mrs. Emma really leave?" The question hung in the air like a bomb about to explode. Mrs. Catherine looked away, nervously twisting the wedding ring she had worn for over 40 years. She got a job opportunity abroad, an offer she couldn't refuse. Jennifer knew that tone well. It was the same one she used when trying to convince Noah that his mother would be back soon. The same lie repeated, until it almost became the truth. And Mr. Michael? Is he also traveling for work? Mrs. Catherine closed her eyes. Michael, her son, had disappeared the same day Emma left. Officially, he was handling business matters in New York, but it had been 3 weeks, and he only called to ask about his son, never showing up. You don't understand the situation, Mrs. Catherine said, standing up. There are things a nanny doesn't need to know. I understand more than you think, Jennifer replied firmly. I understand that Noah is suffering because he feels abandoned. I understand that a 6-month-old baby shouldn't cry desperately every night, and I understand that something very serious happened in this family. Mrs. Catherine stopped in the middle of the kitchen, her back to Jennifer. Her shoulders were tense, and for the first time since the nanny had met her, she seemed vulnerable. You know nothing, she murmured. Then tell me, Jennifer said, stepping closer. Help me understand so I can help Noah. He needs more than lavender essence in his milk. He needs to know he wasn't abandoned. It was then that Noah began to cry upstairs. A different cry, louder, more desperate. Jennifer and Mrs. Catherine exchanged glances and rushed to the nursery. The baby was red from crying, his tiny hands clenched into fists. Jennifer picked him up and tried to soothe him, but this time not even her presence comforted the boy. He has a fever, Jennifer said, touching the baby's forehead. A fever? Mrs. Catherine stepped closer, worried. Could it be from the essence? No, it's not that. Children can get fevers for many reasons. Let's take him to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, Noah cried non-stop. Jennifer held him tightly in the back seat, while Mrs. Catherine drove in silence, her knuckles white from gripping the wheel. In the pediatric emergency room, Dr. Anderson, a gray-haired doctor with kind eyes, examined Noah carefully. It's nothing serious, he said after a few minutes. Probably just a mild virus. But I have to ask, have you noticed any changes in the child's behavior these past few weeks? Jennifer and Mrs. Catherine exchanged glances. He cries a lot at night, Jennifer answered. More than usual. And the mother? Where is she? The doctor asked, looking around. Usually, with babies this young, we prefer the mother to be present. She's traveling, Mrs. Catherine said uncomfortably. Dr. Anderson made a few notes and looked directly at the two women. Ladies, I'll be frank with you, this baby shows signs of emotional stress. The excessive crying, trouble sleeping, and now this fever could be related to sudden changes in routine or separation from the parents. It's very common in children going through family instability. The doctor's words hit like a bucket of cold water. Jennifer felt like someone was finally confirming her suspicions, while Mrs. Catherine seemed increasingly uncomfortable. Doctor, Jennifer said, what can we do to help him? First, try to maintain a stable routine. Second, if possible, it's important for both parents to be present. A mother's presence is crucial at this age. And third, he looked directly at Mrs. Catherine, be honest with yourselves about what's happening. Children sense tension in the air. On the way back, the silence in the car was deafening. Noah had calmed down after taking a mild fever reducer, but the weight of the doctor's words hung over the two women. It was Mrs. Catherine who broke the silence first. Jennifer, do you have children? No, Mom. I never married. I've dedicated my life to caring for other people's children. Then you don't understand what it's like to watch your family fall apart. Jennifer parked the car in the mansion's garage and turned to face Mrs. Catherine. You're right, I don't. But I do understand children, and I know Noah is suffering more than he should for his age. If you want to tell me what really happened, maybe we can help him together. Mrs. Catherine looked at her grandson asleep in his car seat. Her eyes filled with tears she tried to hide, but Jennifer noticed. Emma found out something, she finally said. Something about Michael. What did she find out? That he was involved with Amanda. Jennifer fell silent, processing the information. Amanda was Emma's best friend, a 35-year-old divorced woman who always visited the family. Did Mrs. Emma see them together? She found messages on his phone, intimate messages, planning meetings, talking about a future together. Michael was going to ask for a divorce. And that's why she left? Not just that. Mrs. Catherine sighed deeply. Emma found out they'd been together for months, that Amanda came here not to visit her, but to see Michael, that every time she worked late, they met up. Jennifer felt a wave of anger and sadness at the same time. She was beginning to understand why Noah cried so much. Where is she now? In Aspen. She rented a small house there, said she needed to think, to decide what to do with her life. And Mr. Michael. Michael... Mrs. Catherine hesitated. Michael doesn't know I know where she is. The two women walked into the house in silence, each lost in her own thoughts. Noah kept sleeping, unaware of the complexity of the adult problems affecting his little life. That night, Jennifer prepared the milk with a few drops of lavender essence again. This time, Mrs. Catherine was there, watching every move. "Do you really think he misses her through the scent?" the grandmother asked. "I'm sure of it. Babies have a very strong connection to their mother's smell. It's one of the first ways they recognize her." Noah drank the milk quietly and fell asleep without crying. The two women watched the crib for a few minutes. "Jennifer," Mrs. Catherine said, "I need to tell you one more thing." "What is it, ma'am?" I encouraged Michael to stay with Amanda." Jennifer turned, surprised. "What do you mean?" "I never liked Emma. I thought she wasn't good enough for my son. Amanda seemed more suitable. So when I noticed there was an attraction between them, I made things easier." "Mrs. Catherine, I know it was wrong, but I wanted Michael to be happy. And he thought he would be happier with Amanda than with Emma." Jennifer felt a mix of shock and disappointment. She was beginning to realize the situation was far more complex than she had imagined. "Did you know they were secretly meeting?" "I knew, and I pretended not to. I created opportunities for them to be alone. When Emma worked late, I suggested Michael invite Amanda to dinner. When Emma traveled for work, I told him he should go out and have some fun. And now? Now I see my grandson crying every night, missing his mother. And I wonder if it's worth destroying a family over my whims." Jennifer didn't know how to respond. The situation was much more complicated than just caring for a crying baby. It was about an entire family falling apart because of lies, betrayals, and manipulation. The next morning, Jennifer woke to the sound of the automatic gate opening. She looked out the window and saw Michael's car pulling into the garage. He had come back. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. Michael took the stairs 2 at a time. His face was tired, unshaven, and his clothes were wrinkled. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Mom!" he called as he entered the living room. "Where's Noah?" "Sleeping," replied Mrs. Catherine, who was in the kitchen having coffee. "Michael, we need to talk." "Later, Mom. First, I want to see my son." Michael went up to the baby's room where Jennifer was organizing his clothes. When she saw him, she felt awkward, unsure how to act around the man who had betrayed his wife. "Good morning, Jennifer. How is he?" "He's fine, Mr. Michael. He had a slight fever yesterday, but it's gone now." Michael approached the crib and looked at Noah, who was sleeping peacefully. For the first time in weeks, the baby seemed at ease. "He didn't cry last night?" Michael asked, surprised. Jennifer hesitated. Should she mention the lavender oil? The theory that Noah missed his mother. "He cried less," she said diplomatically. Michael carefully picked up his son. Noah opened his little eyes and smiled when he saw his father, a small, sweet smile that made Michael's heart clench with guilt. "Daddy's here, sweetheart," he whispered. "Daddy won't travel so much anymore." But even in his father's arms, Noah grew restless after a few minutes. He didn't cry, but he was clearly uncomfortable. "He's been like this since Emma left," Jennifer observed. "It's like he's missing something." Michael looked at the nanny with a guilty expression. "Where's my mother?" "In the kitchen, sir." Michael carried Noah downstairs and found Mrs. Catherine sitting at the table, nervously stirring her coffee. "Mom, we need to bring Emma back." "Michael." "No, Mom. I don't want excuses. My son needs his mother. I need my wife. What I did was wrong, and now I have to fix it." Mrs. Catherine looked at her son with an expression mixing surprise and relief. Did you break things off with Amanda? I ended it before it even really began. Mom, what I felt for Amanda wasn't love, it was just, I don't know, maybe a moment of weakness, of boredom. But when I saw Emma leaving, when I saw the pain in her eyes, I realized I was losing the love of my life over an illusion. Then why didn't you go after her right away? Michael took a deep breath before answering. Because I'm a coward. Because I was afraid she wouldn't forgive me. Because I thought if I gave her time to think, maybe... Maybe what? Maybe she'd come back on her own. But she won't, Mom. And I can't blame her. Mrs. Catherine stayed silent for a moment, watching Noah in his father's arms. The baby was calm, but his little eyes seemed to be searching for something. Michael, I need to tell you something. What is it? I know where Emma is. Michael almost dropped Noah. You know? How? Since when? 2 weeks ago. She called me and asked me not to tell anyone where she was. Said she needed time to think. And you didn't tell me? Michael's voice rose. Mom, my son is suffering. He cries every night. How could you keep this from me? Because, Mrs. Catherine stood up facing her son. Because I thought it was what you both deserved. You for betraying your wife and her for not being strong enough to fight for the marriage. Mom! But I was wrong, Michael. Completely wrong. Seeing Noah suffer, seeing you destroyed, watching this family fall apart, I realized what matters isn't what I think is best. What matters is what's best for you. Michael sank heavily into the chair, still holding Noah. Where is she? Aspen. She rented a small house in the town center. Do you have the address? I do. But Michael, before you go after her, you need to understand something. What? Emma doesn't want to be found anymore. She changed her phone number, deleted her social media, asked her company for indefinite leave. She wants to start over, far from all this. Mrs. Catherine's words hit Michael like a punch to the gut. He knew he'd hurt Emma deeply, but he never imagined she'd want to erase her past life completely. Did she mention divorce? Not directly. But she said she's consulting a lawyer to understand her rights. Michael closed his eyes and rested his head in his free hand. Noah began to fuss again, as if sensing his father's tension. I ruined everything, didn't I? There might still be time to fix it, came a voice behind them. Michael and Mrs. Catherine turned. It was Jennifer, who had quietly come downstairs and overheard part of the conversation. Jennifer, Michael said, do you think Emma could ever forgive me? Jennifer stepped forward and held out her arms for Noah, who immediately settled in her embrace. Mr. Michael, can I say something? Of course. Noah cries every night because he misses his mother, but it's more than that. He senses something is wrong in the family. Babies are very sensitive to energy shifts, to unresolved tension. What are you saying? That until you resolve this situation one way or another, Noah will keep suffering. He needs either his parents together and happy, or an amicable separation where he feels safe with both of you. But I want my family back, Michael said, his voice breaking. Then you have to fight for it. Not here, complaining to your mother. There, with Emma. Mrs. Catherine looked at Jennifer with respect. The nanny had summed up in a few words what she herself hadn't seen clearly. Jennifer is right, she said. Michael, you need to go to Aspen. What if she won't listen to me? Then at least you'll have tried, Jennifer replied. And Noah will know, when he grows up, that his father did everything to keep the family together. Michael was silent for a few minutes, watching his son in Jennifer's arms. Noah was calm, but his bright little eyes seemed to study his father's face, as if trying to understand why things had changed. Can you take care of him for a few more days? Michael asked Jennifer. Of course, Mr. Michael, but... But what? Take something that smells like Mrs. Emma. Noah recognizes her scent. That's why I've been adding lavender essence to his milk. Michael and Mrs. Catherine exchanged surprised glances. You've been doing that? Michael asked. Yes. It was the only way to get him to stop crying. He misses his mother's smell. And it works? It works. But it's not a permanent solution. He needs his real mother, not just the memory of her. Michael stood up, determined. "Mom, give me Emma's address. I'm going today." "Michael, wait, maybe you should call first." "No. If I call, she might refuse to see me. I need to talk to her in person." Mrs. Catherine went to her purse and took out a piece of paper with the address written by hand. "It's a small house on Magnolia Street, number 127, yellow with a garden in front." Michael took the paper and went upstairs to pack a bag. Jennifer stayed in the kitchen with Mrs. Catherine, both watching Noah, who finally seemed calmer. "Jennifer, Mrs. Catherine said, do you think I did something very wrong by hiding where Emma was?" "Mrs. Catherine, everyone reacts differently when their family is in crisis. You did what you thought was right at the time." "But it wasn't right, was it?" "No, it wasn't, but it's not too late to fix it." Mrs. Catherine leaned closer to the baby and gently touched his little face. "Noah, your daddy is going to bring your mommy back. Grandma promises." An hour later, Michael came downstairs with a small suitcase and a bag with some of Emma's belongings. "What's in the bag?" Jennifer asked. "Perfumes, lotions, a sweater she wore recently, things that smell like her." "Good idea. I'll prepare some bottles with lavender essence for tonight. If he gets too restless in your absence, it might help." "Jennifer," Michael said, "thank you for taking care of my son as if he were your own." "I take care of him because he's a special child, Mr. Michael, and because I believe every child deserves a happy family." Michael said goodbye to Noah with a kiss on his forehead and left for Aspen, leaving behind 2 women and a baby who represented his entire reason for living. The trip to Aspen took nearly 3 hours. Michael drove in silence, rehearsing in his mind what he would say to Emma. How could he explain that he'd been a fool? How could he ask for forgiveness for ruining everything? How could he convince her that he still loved her more than anything in life? When he reached Magnolia Street, the sun was already setting. House number 127 was exactly as Mrs. Catherine had described, small, yellow, with a simple garden in front. There was a light on in the living room and Michael could see a shadow moving behind the curtains. He parked across the street and sat for a few minutes just watching. That was where Emma was trying to rebuild her life without him. That was where she cried every night, just like Noah cried at home. Finally, Michael gathered his courage and crossed the street. He knocked softly on the door, his heart racing. "Who is it?" Emma's voice came from the other side. "It's me, Emma, Michael." The silence that followed was deafening. Michael could imagine Emma on the other side of the door, deciding whether to open it or pretend she wasn't home. "Please," he said, pressing his forehead against the door. "I just want to talk." 5 minutes. The door opened slowly. Emma stood before him, thinner with dark circles under her eyes, but still the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. She wore simple clothes, a wool sweater and jeans, and was barefoot. "What are you doing here?" she asked, not inviting him in. "I came to get you." "Michael, I don't want—" "Noah is suffering, Emma. He cries every night. He misses you." "Don't do this to me," she said, her eyes filling with tears. "Don't use our son to manipulate me." "It's not manipulation. It's the truth. Jennifer said he recognizes your scent, that he only calms down when he smells the lavender perfume you used to wear." Emma closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Michael could see she was suffering too. That being apart from their son was just as painful for her. "How is he?" she asked softly. "Physically fine, emotionally destroyed. Like me." "Michael, you can't show up here after 3 weeks and expect me to just come back. I know you have every right to hate me, to never want to see me again. But at least let me explain what happened." Emma hesitated for a few seconds, then opened the door a little wider. 5 minutes, she said. The house was simple but cozy. A small living room with a sofa and TV, an open kitchen, and probably a bedroom and bathroom in the back. There were a few photos of Noah scattered on the coffee table. "You've been thinking about him," Michael observed, pointing to the photos. "Every day, every hour." Emma sat on the sofa, keeping her distance. "But thinking about him also means thinking about you, and that hurts too much." Michael sat in the armchair across from her, respecting her space. "Emma, what happened with Amanda was—" "No," she interrupted. "I don't want to hear about Amanda. I don't want details. I don't want explanations about how it started or why it happened. That will only hurt me more. Then let me talk about us, about our family. Emma stayed silent but didn't stop him from continuing. When you left, I realized I'd lost the most important thing in my life. Not Amanda, not the thrill, not the excitement of something new. I lost you. I lost our family. I lost my home. Michael, let me finish, please. These 21 days without you have been the worst of my life. I couldn't work properly. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't even be near Noah without feeling guilty for destroying his family. Emma wiped a tear that rolled down her cheek. And what do you expect me to do with that? Just forget everything and come back like nothing happened? No. I hope you'll give me a chance to earn back your trust, to prove that you and Noah are all that matters to me. How? How will you prove that? Michael stood and went to the bag he'd brought. He pulled out Emma's perfumes and lotions. I brought some of your things. Jennifer said Noah recognizes your scent. Emma picked up the bottle of lavender essence and opened it. The familiar fragrance filled the small room, bringing back memories of happy mornings, of Noah smiling in her arms, of a family that was once perfect. He really recognizes it? She asked, her voice trembling. Jennifer puts a few drops in his milk. It's the only way he stops crying. Emma began to cry harder. The thought of her baby suffering, missing her, crying every night, was more painful than any betrayal. I didn't want to leave him, she sobbed, but I couldn't stay in the same house where you two... Emma, you didn't abandon Noah. You were protecting your heart so you could be a good mother to him, but he needs you. We need you. And I need a guarantee that this will never happen again. What guarantee can I give you besides my word? Your word means nothing to me now, Michael. The words were harsh but fair. Michael knew he'd lost his wife's trust completely. Then what do you want me to do? Emma stayed silent for a few minutes, thinking. Finally, she stood and walked to the window, looking out at the dark street. I want you to understand it's not just about Amanda. It's about lies, about secrets, about you making me feel like I wasn't enough for you. But you are more than enough. You're perfect. If I were perfect, you wouldn't have looked for someone else. Michael stepped closer but kept a respectful distance. Emma, what I did had nothing to do with you. It was about my own problems, my own immaturity. None of this is your fault, but I'm paying the price, aren't I? Noah and I are paying the price for your mistakes. I know, and that's why I'm here. To take responsibility and try to fix things. Emma turned to face him. Michael, I loved you with all my soul for 5 years. I gave you my life, my dreams, my body. I bore your son, gave up my career to take care of our family. And you threw it all away for what? Out of curiosity, boredom. It was a terrible mistake, the biggest mistake of my life. A mistake that lasted months, Michael. Months of lies, of you coming home and kissing me after being with her. Months of you making me feel guilty for working so much, when in reality, you were using my absence to meet her. Michael knew she was right. It hadn't been a momentary slip. It had been a prolonged, calculated betrayal. Emma, You destroyed our family, Michael. And now you want me to come back as if we could just glue the pieces together? No. I want us to build something new, something better. Based on what? What foundation will we rebuild on when trust has been completely shattered? That's when Michael's phone rang. It was Jennifer. Excuse me, he said to Emma, answering. Hello? Mr. Michael? Jennifer's voice sounded worried. Noah has a high fever. Mrs. Catherine wants to take him to the hospital again. What do you mean? He was fine when I left. After you left, he became very agitated. He cried for hours and now he has a high fever. The thermometer read 101.3. Michael looked at Emma, who had noticed from his expression that something was wrong. What is it? She asked. Noah has a high fever, said Michael, covering the phone. Jennifer, are you already on your way to the hospital? We're leaving now. Mr. Michael, I think you should come back. I'm on my way. Keep me updated. Michael hung up and looked at Emma, who had turned pale. Is he really sick? she asked. Jennifer is taking him to the hospital with my mother. Emma, come with me. Noah needs his mother. I don't know if... Emma, our problems can wait. Our son needs both of us right now. She hesitated for only a few seconds before grabbing her purse and following Michael to the car. The drive back was tense and silent. Emma called Jennifer several times for updates on Noah's condition. His fever had risen to 102.2, he wouldn't stop crying, and the doctors were investigating possible causes. Jennifer, Emma said on the phone, did you give him the lavender essence today? I did, Mrs. Emma, but it didn't work like before. He's still inconsolable. We're almost there, said Emma. Don't let them give him strong medication before we talk to the doctor. When they arrived at the hospital, they found Mrs. Catherine pacing nervously in the pediatric hallway. Seeing Emma, the older woman stopped, unsure how to react. Emma, she finally said. Mrs. Catherine, where is he? In room 312. The doctor is examining him now. Emma rushed down the hallway, followed by Michael. When she entered the room, she saw Noah in Jennifer's arms, crying desperately as Dr. Anderson tried to examine him. Can I hold him? Emma asked Jennifer. Of course, Mrs. Emma. The moment Noah was in his mother's arms, something magical happened. The baby stopped crying instantly. His little red eyes, swollen from crying, locked onto Emma's face, and he let out a sigh of relief, as if he had finally found what he needed. My love, Emma whispered, kissing her son's feverish forehead. Mommy's here. Dr. Anderson, Jennifer, Michael, and Mrs. Catherine watched the scene in silence. Noah's fever visibly began to drop, and he nestled into his mother's chest as if he never wanted to leave. Amazing, said Dr. Anderson. In 20 years of pediatrics, I've rarely seen such an immediate reaction to a mother's presence. Doctor, said Emma, could his fever have been caused by the stress of the separation? Very likely. Babies this age can develop real physical symptoms when they go through emotional trauma. Your prolonged absence certainly affected his immune system. Emma looked at Michael with an expression that mixed pain and relief. I need to stay with him tonight, she said. Of course, Michael replied. We'll stay. No, Michael. I will stay. You can go home. Emma, he's my son too. I know, but right now he needs me more. Dr. Anderson interrupted the discussion. Folks, the child is recovering well. The fever has already gone down significantly, but I must recommend you seek family counseling. Situations like this may repeat if the underlying issues aren't resolved. Emma spent the night in the hospital with Noah. Michael wanted to stay too, but she asked him to give her space. She needed to be alone with her son, to feel she could still comfort him, to be the mother he needed. Jennifer and Mrs. Catherine went home, but promised to return the next morning. During the night, Noah slept peacefully in Emma's arms. She couldn't sleep, watching his every breath, feeling a mix of unconditional love and deep guilt for having distanced herself from him. In the morning, Dr. Anderson discharged Noah, but advised Emma to maintain a stable routine with him in the coming days. Are you going home together? Jennifer asked when she arrived at the hospital. Emma looked at Michael, who had spent the night in the parking lot. I don't know yet, she replied. I need to think. Emma, Mrs. Catherine said hesitantly, stepping closer. May I speak with you privately? The two women walked into the hallway, leaving Michael with Noah and Jennifer. Emma, I need to ask for your forgiveness, Mrs. Catherine began. Forgiveness for what, Mrs. Catherine? For sabotaging your marriage. Emma was stunned by her mother-in-law's bluntness. What do you mean? I never truly liked you. I thought Michael deserved someone different. So when I noticed he was interested in Amanda, I made things easier. I created opportunities for them to be alone, encouraged Michael to get closer to her. Emma felt as if she'd been punched in the gut. You did this on purpose. I did, and I deeply regret it. Seeing Noah suffer, seeing you two torn apart, I realized what matters isn't what I think is best, but what's truly best for the family. Why are you telling me this now? Because you have the right to know, and because if you decide to try again, you need to know I'll support you. Completely. Emma fell silent, processing the information. Michael's betrayal had been influenced by his own mother. It didn't excuse him, but it explained some things. "Mrs. Catherine, I need time to think about all this." "I understand. But can I ask you one thing?" "What?" "Don't deprive Noah of having a united family because of my mistakes. If you can forgive Michael, give yourselves a chance to be happy." When they returned to the room, Michael was softly singing to Noah, who smiled, enchanted by his father's voice. It was a scene that touched Emma's heart, reminding her of happier times they'd shared. "Michael," she said, "we need to talk at home." "You're coming back?" he asked hopefully. "I'll stay there for a few days. For Noah's sake. But that doesn't mean we're back together." "I understand." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The ride home was quiet, but unlike the trip there, Noah was calm in the car seat, occasionally smiling at his mother. Emma sat in the back with him while Michael drove, watching them in the rearview mirror. When they arrived at the mansion, Jennifer was at the door with a relieved smile on her face. "How is he?" she asked. "Much better," Emma replied. "Jennifer, thank you for taking such good care of him." "Mrs. Emma, can I say something?" "Of course. Noah is a very special child. He feels the emotions of the adults around him. If the two of you are doing well, he's fine. If you're suffering, he suffers too." "I understand. That's why whatever decision you make about your marriage, think about his well-being too." Emma nodded and went up to the nursery. It felt strange to be back in that space after 3 weeks. Everything was exactly as she had left it, but it seemed different, like a house where she no longer belonged. During the day, she cared for Noah with dedication. The baby was noticeably calmer, feeding well, and sleeping peacefully. That night, when she put him in the crib, he fell asleep without needing the lavender essence. "He didn't cry," Michael observed from the doorway. "He didn't," Emma confirmed. "It seems he just needed to know I was here." "Emma, can we talk now?" "After he's sound asleep." An hour later, the two met in the living room. Emma sat on the sofa where she used to nurse Noah, while Michael settled into the armchair. "Your mother told me something today," Emma began. "What did she say?" "That she encouraged you to stay with Amanda." Michael closed his eyes and sighed. "I was going to tell you that." "When?" "Today. I only found out a few days ago. My mother admitted she always made things easier between me and Amanda because she didn't like you." "And does that change anything?" Michael thought carefully before answering. "It doesn't change the fact that I was a coward and betrayed you, but it explains why I felt so confused these past months. My mother kept suggesting I wasn't happy, that I deserved something different." "Michael, you're a grown man. You can't blame your mother's influence." "I'm not blaming her. I'm taking responsibility, but I'm also telling you all the factors that led me to make the wrong choices." Emma was silent for a few minutes. "Michael, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be completely honest. Anything. Do you really love me? Or do you just want to come back because you lost what you had?" The question was direct and painful. Michael knew his answer would define their future. "Emma, I fell in love with you the day I met you. In the 5 years we've been together, that feeling has only grown. When Noah was born, I watched you become the strongest, most loving woman I've ever known. I love you, not out of convenience, not out of fear of being alone, but because you're the person who completes my life. Then why did you betray me? Because I'm an idiot? Because I let myself get carried away by a foolish fantasy, by a fleeting thrill that meant nothing? Because for a moment I forgot I already had everything I ever wanted? And how can I be sure this won't happen again? Because now I know what it's like to lose you. I know what it's like to see our son suffer because of my mistakes. I know what it's like to live without you, and I never want to go through that again." Emma stood and walked to the window, looking out at the garden where Noah would play when he was older. "Michael, even if I forgive you, even if we decide to try again, things will never be the same as before. I know. It'll be hard. There will be moments when I remember what you did and feel angry, moments when I'll distrust you for no reason. I understand. And you'll have to win me back all over again. I can't just pretend nothing happened. I want to win you back. I want to spend the rest of my life proving you made the right choice in giving me a second chance." Emma turned to look at him. "I didn't say I'll give you a second chance. I know, but I'm hoping you will. Michael, I need time. I need to figure out if there's still enough love between us to overcome all this. How much time do you need? I don't know. Maybe weeks, maybe months. And in the meantime, let's focus on Noah. Let's be the best parents we can be for him, no matter what happens between us." Michael nodded, knowing that was all he could hope for at the moment. In the weeks that followed, an odd routine settled into the mansion. Emma took care of Noah during the day. Michael came home at night to help with the baby, and the two maintained a polite but distant relationship. Noah thrived with his mother's presence. He stopped crying at night completely, smiled more, and seemed more interested in playing and exploring the world around him. Jennifer watched the family closely, noticing the small signs that maybe there was hope. Michael treated Emma with renewed respect and affection, always asking if she needed anything, always ready to help with Noah, but never pushing for intimacy. Emma, in turn, began to remember why she had fallen in love with Michael. Seeing him with Noah, witnessing his genuine effort to win back her trust, she felt the ice around her heart slowly begin to melt. One night, 2 weeks after Emma's return, Noah started crying in the middle of the night. It was a different cry, not desperate but uncomfortable. Emma went to his room and noticed he had a slight rash. "Michael," she called, "can you help me? I need to change Noah and I can't do it alone." Michael appeared quickly, wearing just a t-shirt and shorts. Together they tended to the baby, applying ointment, changing his diaper, soothing him with gentle touches. It was during this intimate moment, caring for their son together, that Emma felt something shift inside her chest. A memory of how well they worked as a team, as partners, as a family. "Thank you," she said when Noah finally fell back asleep. "You're welcome. That's what I'm here for." "Michael?" "Yes?" "Have you really changed?" "What do you mean?" "I see you with Noah, how you treat me now. It's like you've understood something you didn't before." Michael sat in the rocking chair in the nursery, choosing his words carefully. "Emma, when you left, I had time to think about the kind of husband and father I was, and I didn't like what I saw. I was absent, took our family for granted, assumed you'd always be there no matter how I treated you. And now? Now I understand that having a family isn't a right, it's a privilege, one that needs to be honored every day, through actions, not just words." Emma stayed silent, watching Noah sleep peacefully. "Michael, I need to tell you something." "What?" "When I was in Aspen, I seriously considered filing for divorce. I even consulted a lawyer." Michael's heart tightened, but he didn't interrupt. "But every time I tried to imagine my life without you, every time I thought about Noah growing up in a broken family, it felt wrong." "What did you feel?" "That maybe it was too soon to give up, that maybe our love was strong enough to overcome this." "Is it strong enough?" "I don't know yet, but I want to find out." Michael stood slowly and moved closer to Emma. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm willing to try. Not going back to what we were before, but building something new, something better." "Emma, but there are conditions." "What?" "First, we're going to couples therapy, both of us together, and you alone too." "I agree." "Second, you'll have to rebuild my trust from scratch. It won't be easy, and it won't be quick." "I understand." "Third, if this happens again, if you betray me again, I'll leave for good. And this time I'm taking Noah with me." "Noah, that will never happen again, I promise." "Michael, promises don't mean anything to me anymore. I'll need to see actions." "Then you'll see actions, every day, for the rest of my life." Emma looked at him for a long moment. Then, for the first time in months, she smiled. A small, cautious smile, but genuine. "Okay, let's try." Michael wanted to hug her but held back. He knew there was still a long road ahead. "Thank you," he said simply. "Don't thank me yet. Thank me when we can be happy again." In the following months, the family slowly began to heal. Michael and Emma started couples therapy with Dr. Williams, a psychologist specializing in marital crises. The sessions were difficult, painful at times, but necessary. Michael learned to understand the deep wounds he had caused in Emma, and she learned to express her anger and disappointment constructively. Slowly, they began rebuilding the communication they had lost. Noah remained the light of the family. Now 8 months old, he crawled around the house, explored every corner, and constantly smiled at his parents. There were no more desperate cries, no more sleepless nights. He was a happy, healthy baby. Jennifer continued working with the family, but her role had changed. She wasn't just a nanny trying to soothe a distressed child anymore. She was part of a team working to maintain family harmony. Mrs. Catherine also went through a transformation. The family therapy she started on her own helped her understand her patterns of manipulation and control. She learned to respect the boundaries set by Michael and Emma, and gradually became a more loving, less intrusive grandmother. 6 months after the reconciliation, Michael came home with a surprise. He had bought tickets for a family trip to a resort in the Florida Keys. "Michael, you didn't have to do this," Emma said, looking at the tickets. "I know I didn't have to, but I want to. I want to create new happy memories with you and Noah. What about Jennifer? Is she coming with us?" "If you want, yes. I thought it'd be good to have help with Noah so we could have some time just for us two." Emma smiled. The idea of a family trip, time to reconnect as a couple, seemed perfect. The trip became a milestone in their marriage's recovery. Away from daily pressures, Michael and Emma talked like they hadn't in a long time. They laughed, played with Noah on the beach, and slowly rediscovered the intimacy they had lost. One evening, while Noah slept in the hotel crib, Michael and Emma walked along the beach. "Emma," Michael said, "can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Can you truly forgive me? Not just say you forgive me, but really feel it in your heart." Emma stopped walking and looked at the ocean. The question was important, and she wanted to answer honestly. "Michael, I still feel pain when I remember what happened. I still have moments of insecurity. But the anger is gone, and the love has returned. Does that mean you forgive me?" "It means I'm in the process of forgiving, and I want to keep going until I can forgive completely." Michael took her hand, and for the first time in 8 months, she didn't pull away. "I love you, Emma, more than I did before I almost lost you." "I love you too, Michael, and I love the family we're building together." They kissed under the stars, while the sound of the waves created the soundtrack for a fresh start. A year later, the family was complete and happy. Noah was taking his first steps, saying "mommy" and "daddy" clearly, and was a radiant, healthy child. There were no more traces of the baby who had cried desperately every night. Michael had become a more present and attentive husband and father. He reduced his workload to spend more time at home, and always showed his love for Emma through small but meaningful gestures. Emma had returned to part-time work, finding a balance between her career and family. She felt fulfilled both professionally and personally, and her trust in Michael had gradually been rebuilt. Jennifer remained part of the family, no longer as a desperate nanny trying to soothe a suffering child, but as an additional maternal figure who loved Noah as if he were her own grandson. Mrs. Catherine had learned to be a loving grandmother without being controlling. She visited regularly, helped with Noah when needed, but respected the boundaries set by the couple. On a sunny afternoon, while Noah played in the garden under Jennifer's care, Michael and Emma sat on the porch swing. "Do you regret giving me a second chance?" Michael asked. "Never," Emma replied without hesitation. "It was hard, it was painful, but it was worth it. We're stronger now than we were before." "How so?" "Before, we took our love for granted. Now, we nurture our relationship every day. We talk more, respect each other more, value each other more. And Noah has parents who truly love each other and who've learned that family is something that needs constant care." Michael looked at his son, who was laughing loudly as he played with Jennifer in the garden. Noah was a happy, secure, loved child. There were no more nighttime cries, no more need for lavender essence in his milk. He had what he'd always needed, a united family. "Emma," Michael said, "thank you for not giving up on us." "Thank you for giving me reasons not to give up. I love you. I love you too. And there, on the porch swing, watching their son play in the garden, Michael and Emma realized they had achieved something rare, turning a devastating crisis into an opportunity to build a deeper, truer love. Jennifer watched the family from the kitchen window as she prepared afternoon snacks. She smiled at the harmony that now filled the house. There were no more desperate tears, no more sleepless nights, no more need for tricks to soothe a suffering baby. What remained was a family that had learned, through pain and perseverance, that true love isn't something that just happens. It's something built day after day with dedication, respect, understanding, and forgiveness. Noah, now 15 months old, ran to his parents with outstretched arms, laughing joyfully. Michael scooped him up, and Noah planted wet kisses on his father's face before turning to Emma and doing the same. "Mommy, Daddy," he said, clapping his hands. "Yes, sweetheart," Emma said, kissing her son. "Mommy and Daddy are here. We'll always be here." And as the sun set on the horizon, painting the sky in golden hues, the family had finally found the peace they'd been searching for. Not through essences in milk or temporary tricks, but through genuine love, forgiveness, and the determination to build something beautiful together. End of story. Now tell us, do you think Emma made the right choice giving Michael a second chance? What would you have done in her place? Share your honest thoughts about this touching story. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories.